Man Down by Tom Murray.
This one's entitled Man Down, Man Down. A sudden flash, a crack of sound, a punch like a heavyweight, and I'm on the ground. I can hear them shouting, man down, man down. Pressure on my chest, can't breathe, it feels like I'm going to drown. I feel a tug at my gear and see the lips move, but why can't I hear? I see the worry in their face, am I just another victim of this damn place? My brothers, they all gather round as I lay there slumped on this dusty Afghan ground. And I feel nothing, and I hear no more sound. Is this the way it's meant to be? That bullet was definitely meant for me. The medic, God bless her, looks distraught. Tears in her eyes, she gave me a shot. She's worldly wise, beyond her years, but I could see behind her tears. Through bloodshot eyes, I can see him there. My brother in arms, I hear him swear. He is my best mate, a friend and brother. We swore long ago to look after each other. As he clasped me close, both covered in mud, we once shared everything and now my blood. Many years ago we promised each other, whoever went first, we'd visit their mother. Must be my turn as the lights seem to dim. Thank you, dear lad. That bullet missed him. As I lay in his arms, feeling chilled to the bone, he leaned close and whispered, "Sleep well now."
So I'm going to get chatting in a moment with a guy. I found him on Instagram. His name's Hugh Mckay. He's a 30-year-old lad, absolute mental health advocate. He went through a couple of things himself that we're going to talk about and going to discuss. He's still serving. He's from the Royal Regiment of Scotland. Stay tuned for Hugh Mckay. Coming soon.
You're listening to Blue Pigment Podcast, sponsored by Huscarl. Go to huscarl.co.uk to see some of their fantastic artwork. You can get yourself a custom-made t-shirt, printout or stickers. The Huscarl were the bodyguards to King Harold. When King Harold was killed, the Huscarl did not admit defeat, and they went on to fight to the death, sticking to their guns and being loyal to what they believed to the end. And that is what Huscarl brand stands for, being loyal to who you are as a person. Go to huscarl.co.uk, that's HUSCARL. And when you get to Huscarl and you go to the checkout, use discount code BLUEPIGMENT for 10% off. Follow the you, not the fooler.
Hi, joined today by Hugh Mckay. He's a 30-year-old man, still serving in the Royal Regiment of Scotland. He's been serving for 13 years, and he's here to tell us his story. He's had some ups and downs with regards to mental health, and for us all to benefit from that, I'd like to get the full story from yourself, Hugh. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Sorry, I was a bit busy there. We've just come back down from Edinburgh, so
Long journey.
Yeah, just it's a lot of we came down yesterday, but it's a lot of unpacking. So like pre-exercise, post-exercise admin. So.
All right, so you've just come back from exercise.
Well, not exercise, but just a lot of kit.
Yeah.
It's all my.
Yeah. So how's things and how's life these days? I know you've had some ups and downs in your past. How are you like today?
Honestly, I could not be any better at the moment for where I was to where I am now, and most of it has been myself that's done it. So yeah, I've never been in a better place, to be honest.
Some self-help is your sort of method that you've used to bring yourself back. Self-help
with a little bit of guidance.
Okay. So obviously I want you to feel as comfortable as you can during this talk, but if you want to dive into the sort of stuff that you went through in your past and what's led you to where you are now, shoot, go ahead.
Yep. So basically, it's sort of, I've like, we've all had, like yourself, like we're infantry, like we're picked from the dregs of society, or what, that's what it used to be back in the day, like, I've had a crappy upbringing, stuff like that. I've, stepfather, stepson, stereotypical relationship. My mother having, like, well, she beat cancer twice, my uncle, stuff like that. I've been in foster care, the whole shebang. But what, bullied in school and stuff like that. But what really happened was sort of round about 3 years ago, round about Christmas time. Now, Christmas time was never a good time for me anyway. I don't enjoy being home, or I never enjoyed being home, because that was the stem of all my sort of problems and bad thoughts and everything that went through my head. But there was a Christmas period where where I'm from in Scotland, it's no man's land from as soon as you go and leave to like January. It's just drinking. Massive alcoholism problems in the Highlands, and obviously in families, and that comes from just a generational kind of thing. So I was out, my mum was out, my sister was out, and I noticed there was a difference in my mum. She was a little bit more drunk than what she normally would be, and she fell over the place and stuff like this, and I was like, what's going on? So I asked my sister, and she said, she just found out some news. Somebody that she knew had died, and I thought, what's wrong with that? And so I was 27, so about 3 years ago. I was like, what's wrong with that? And my sister was like, can we go outside and can we talk? I was like, yeah. Well, this person that's died was her boyfriend, kind of thing, from when I was kind of born to about 3 years old. But the thing is that he was sexually abusing her and me as a child. Now, obviously, I didn't know about this until then, at that point, being 27 years old, and I didn't really know how to take it. At first, I was all right, and like initially, I was like, I didn't know about it, whatever. But then, as I more sort of thought about it, and the sort of no man's land drinking sort of carried on for weeks, I kind of let it get dark into my head, thinking, and I started feeling dirty, scummy, as if like I just want to rip my skin off me, kind of thing. And I'm not the strongest of swimmers, and I live on the north coast, so I got to a point in my head where I just didn't want to be here anymore. So in my logical thinking head, I was thinking, if I can get further enough out into the North Sea, and I start to struggle, I'm not a strong enough swimmer to get back. And that was my attempt to take my own life. Fortunately, I was sat listening to my music. I'm a bagpiper as well, so I had all my tunes on, just contemplating things. And then I sort of just got up and started walking towards the water. I'm walking into the water. The waves started sort of throwing me about a bit. And I got to a point, and it must have been like, because I was under the influence at this point, and it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. It was still pitch black, freezing cold as well. And I just got to the point where I don't even know. It must have been like a song or a tune came on, and because I still had my earpod things on, and I just stopped sort of dead in my tracks in the sea. And I was like, it's like, when I woke up, at this point, I was like fucking getting thrown about, and I just sort of just came round, sort of thing, like, what the hell are you doing? But then I started to struggle to get back inshore.
Yeah.
But I had come round from my sort of state that I was in, but I was struggling to get back inshore, and I can't remember how long it took, but it took like a week. It must have been only a couple of minutes to try and swim back through the waves to get back. But I was in a complete sort of panic stations, like code red, like absolutely in tatters. And when I managed to get, so I could touch the ground again, I managed to get out through the waves. And then when I got to like the beach again, I just sort of hands and knees, just like absolutely in tears, just like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? What's going on? Just completely confused. And it was, I believe it was that point where that attempt was when things then started going worse. And I started drinking more and getting into trouble and stuff like this. Like I got done for drink driving as well at one point. And like that, demoted in the army and stuff like that. And I was just going down in a spiral, just downhill. And I was only myself to blame. And like alcoholism, as I said, in my family and in the Highlands and all, is quite rife. So I just felt I was going down a dark hole, and there was different points that were extremely dark. Like points where I've held knives in my hand, just like in absolute tears, not wanting to do things, but at the point where I think this is the only way I can go.
So what was the turning point? What was the thing that tipped you over the edge to think this is a problem and I need to rectify it? Where was that turning point?
Well, I was on a course, and it was a bagpiping course, a pipe majors course, and the sort of senior instructors, a W01, seen a massive change in me from like, it must have been like just how I was. I was really nervous. Like I'd finish and he'd be giving us our feedback, and I'm sitting there absolutely shaking like a leaf. Like I'm oblivious to this. I'm just like in my head, yep, yeah, okay, no worries, just cracking on as if nothing was going wrong. But he was seeing a big change in me. So he said, look, come up to my office. And I just broke down, told him everything about my childhood and everything, and just broke down. He says, right, I've booked you, I'm going to book you an appointment with the doctor. And I believe I'm kind of mixed in the middle of what was old school and what's new school. So I kind of have the respect for old school, but I understand the sort of new school kind of soldier. So I was like, right, I've been told to do something. I've got an appointment, so I need to go and do it. And again, I just broke down to the doctor and just asked for help. And that was sort of the turning point, was that W1 realising a change in me and who I was. And then that sort of, I believe I was grabbed at the right point before it went any darker.
How's your,
like I know a lot of people.
Your signal might be just cut out for a little minute then, but is that any good?
Yeah, I can. You're fine.
Okay, I'll just edit that bit out. Yeah, so with that Sergeant Major realizing that's obviously a huge thing, that that realization gave you the realization to make the steps, and they sent you to the med center to get checked. And what were the sort of like steps that you were taken from or taken through after that?
So it was deemed that I was very sort of depressive, and just so I was put on meds straight away. Like, it seems to be the answer, like there's a sick trip for 2 weeks and antibiotics, but no, I was put on antidepressants. To begin with, it was just 50 milligrams of sertraline, and then which the side effects for that straight away were weird. But I don't think I'll not talk about them. And then I was upped to eventually through time up to 150, as well as being guided towards. I was administered into the DCMH in Leaming, which during the pandemic wasn't the best, because the pandemic hit just as I was finishing the course. So I was literally stuck in the course where everybody went home, because I couldn't really go home or come down to Catterick because of the travel and all that stuff, because nobody knew what to do really. I was just stayed in sort of the barracks on my own for a good couple of weeks. And but I actually found that really helpful, because I was able.
So you went from. Sorry, Karen.
Yes, so I was able to like process, kind of sit on my own and process everything that's been going on. And then I was using it to get out and about and up on the hills and stuff like that.
That's good. Yeah, so that's being able to plan your own routine, I guess, because in the army you're kind of given a routine, and you know, what a lot of young lads do is they have the routine of the army, and when you know 5 o'clock comes and they're in their own time, you know, some guys, they've got their own rooms, they can just lock themselves away, or they can go and get drunk, and then, you know, they can be on that cycle of a bad routine, bad sleep pattern, bad, you know, physical health and mental health, you know, they tie in together. So what was your, you know, in relation to your pattern before, where you're saying you were going on leave and drinking pretty much every day, and what's your sort of like routine nowadays that you're in a good mindset?
Nowadays, I am now teetotal for a year. I've taken this sort of challenge, if you like, to help raise money for Rock to Recovery, who were initially for the Royal Marine sort of charity kind of thing. But they're now they're all armed forces over the whole lot, and all blue light services. And I kind of feel very, very mindful in my head, and I've got my own sort of Instagram for my mental health thing. And so with that, I joined the army at 16. I write in capital letters. John age 5 hieroglyphics, capital letters. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So my uncle suggested to me I maybe write a journal. I've seen these on Instagram, mind journals and stuff like this, and guided journals, and if you're new to it. And I just do not write. I don't write. I don't enjoy it. So he said, well, why don't you try writing a blog online, like make a wee website? I'm like, technology, out the window. But I'm not a guru at it, but I'm okay at social media.
Yeah, you've got a good page. The Highland Mental Health blog is, you know, you've got a lot of people interacting with you on there, haven't you?
So I started the Highland Mental Health blog. It was under my own name, but because of the amount of following that I'm getting recently, I've sort of just wanted to have a bit of persec kind of, so I've just changed it. And the way it was me. That's a journal for me. Whatever I'm thinking, like I've always been feared of people judging me, and I've never fitted into groups. I've always been like a lone wolf. I've never fitted into groups. I've kind of just been the grey man, just floating about. And it's a way of me putting, like, if I have some weird thoughts or what people might think are weird, but it's just me writing it down, and it's getting over that fear of people, you know, like if I write something down, I write a post, and you'll get the army guys, oh, it's gay as fuck or whatever, but I'm way past the point of I don't care what people think about me anymore. Yeah, I really don't.
It's actually quite relieving, isn't it, when you get to the point where you just don't care what anyone else thinks about you? It's very like enlightening, and you feel empowered by not caring anymore. It's like, this is me, deal with it or don't, whatever. You know, it's very empowering to have that mentality.
Honestly, and I've grown myself, and I've done all this myself. And I was doing live videos, but I did one with a friend, just to try it out, because I'm not technically minded or nothing like that. And I did it, and it blew up like wildfire. Sorry, but I had people coming to me wanting to use my platform to do live videos. I never asked people to come on. It was like, and each video I just grew and grew and grew, and it was really sort of humbling. And I've had private messages, thanking me, like obviously privately, but not to mention them, just saying that people are watching in the sidelines, and it's helping them. And that's like, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing this for me, but that's also helping them. That's kind of nice to know as well.
Well, that's one of those things. If you put a post, even if it's something very basic, and everyone thinks, I know that it's for good mental health, I should go for a walk every now and again. But for the majority of people out there might go, obviously, I know that's what I should be doing. But if there's that one person that hears that message and goes, I didn't think of that, I'm feeling really down today, and maybe if I just go for a walk, that'll bring my morale back up. And if that message just reaches that one person to stop them, you know, that little niggle could become the spiral that you know, it sends them down the path of, you know, who knows what. But there's that little message. And I go onto your Instagram, and I've seen all the good stuff you're doing on there, and it is fantastic. And especially in the environment that you're in, you know, when everyone thinks of a Scottish man, you know, there's a stereotype there that you're a tough guy, you know, especially in the army and the infantry. You've always got that people think that you've got to be, you know, mentally resilient, mentally tough all the time. You can't sustain that all the time. And when things happen in your life, you're going to have trip ups and slip ups, and we've all got to make sure that we know that that's normal, and try and convey that message that that's normal, that anyone at any point could slip into depression, and you never know really when it's going to hit you. There are, factors in your life which can increase or decrease the likelihood. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm waffling now, but what I'm trying to say is, if people like me and you, infantry, is the people that would perceive us as being mentally tough, physically tough constantly, if they can listen to us, what we're saying now, and think, actually, maybe I can put, my barriers down. I can put my barriers down slightly, wear my heart on my sleeve, like these guys are, and get that help. Then that's why we're here. That's why we're conveying this message, and you're doing a fantastic job of it. So thank you. Well done.
And so are you, man. Your content's brilliant. Yeah, and I'm actually just going to thank you just now as well. I've not actually, because I've not done any live videos in a long time. I've actually just I've got really nervous talking about that there, but it's actually just overwhelmed just there. I was like, not talking about that anymore.
This is perfect, yeah. This is what humans are. The best thing that humans do, and the reason why we're a species that's developed so far, is because of our ability to communicate. And when we stop communicating is when we start going into ourselves, and we are at our best as a species is when we communicate. And all we're communicating really is our thoughts and feelings, what's going on in our head, which shouldn't be something that is like a taboo, or it shouldn't be something that's, can be called a this or that. You should be called less of a person just because you're saying what's in your mind. And for some reason, I don't even know who it is, but some people in society think that is weak to say what's going on in your head. But really, it's absolutely normal. I don't know why everyone isn't doing it.
Yeah, it's normal, I mean? and it's 100% making me stronger willed to do it.
Yeah, and it's a level of bravery.
Like before I had something happen to me, I kind of think I've always had things happen to me in my head. I just didn't know at the time. And the being with the DCMH, I can't really fault the DCMH, but I know people have had rough times with it. But so I actually paid for a private therapist as well. Well, my good kind uncle did. This guy opened my mind up within 2 sessions, honestly, and it was just empowering. And I really don't care what if I come up with some sort of philosophy kind of post or whatever, and people go, "Oh, whatever," I don't care.
No, that's it.
I really don't. I like what will be, and as cheesy as that is, it's true. Like we've only got one life. It may take a lot of years for it to live, but live it.
Yeah. So my podcast really centers around creativity and trying to get people to wear their hearts on their sleeves and be true to themselves. Because what I found, especially in my younger days when I was an 18-year-old up until maybe 25, 26, I was always trying to prove myself to other people. And it sounds really immature. And I look back now and I think, why was I acting that way? Why was I being that way? And it's just because I hadn't, developed mentally into a state of being mature. And with that maturity comes like enlightenment, and you can look at yourself and analyze and psychoanalyze yourself and go, why am I thinking like this? Why am I acting like that? What can I do differently to improve my thoughts, feelings, and etc. But so one of my things was, I used to get myself into not a state, but I remember making my heart rate would start peaking, and it would be normally me sitting and envisioning a scenario that is absolutely impossibly going to happen. For example, I was at a barbecue with a bunch of friends and family, and I just come back from Afghanistan. And in my head, I thought, what would I do if the gas barbecue exploded and everyone in my family had shrapnel in their body, arms, neck, face? How would I react to that? And I was getting myself worked up that I'd rip my t-shirt off and I'd, use that as a bandage. I'd take my belt off and use that as a tourniquet. And then I just came back round again. I was like, what the hell have I been thinking like that for? And it was just completely nonchalant. It was just it was a non-issue and didn't need to happen, but it was like and then straight away I started psychoanalyzing myself. Like, why do I think like that? Oh, it's because throughout my life for the last 6 months in Afghanistan, I've had to think hypervigilantly for scenarios, and if that scenario, which is actually likely to happen, happens, how am I going to deal with it? And then trying to transition that thought process of being vigilant all the time back into Civvy Street just took an adjustment. And then as soon as I thought in my head, oh, I'm doing that because I've been hypervigilant for the last 6 months, I stopped it straight away, which was an absolute relief. Came back every now and again, and then I'll just realize, oh, I'm doing that thing again, and then I'd stop it.
So I do exactly that. Maybe like with not that like that scenario, but like my brain, I feel is on fire all the time. I am like I'm thinking about a million things in a second. All worst possible outcomes. It could be just doing photocopying for the boss, but I'm thinking about absolutely mental scenarios. Not maybe having to deal with something like that, but maybe, like, oh, what if I do that wrong? What if I photocopy that? Just my head is so, I'm kind of tired of it now, but I've managed to grow this thing where I believe, like, as humans, there's three parts to us. There's like your physical part with all your skin, organs and all that. There's your mind. Then there's your outer conscience, which is I feel like I'm looking down on my life a lot. And I'm watching myself, my mind and my body working. And then that's the bit I've got control of now. Whereas I've got, like that's controlling my mind and my body. And I'm like I'm more at ease now.
It's a weird one, especially like the army. Obviously the army focuses a lot on appearance, and your uniform's got to be ironed. You've got to look smart, shaved. I'm not now because I'm on leave, but your haircut and all that sort of stuff. So the army focuses a lot on appearance, which sometimes can be bad for your mental health, because you're thinking, oh, what happens if I go into the office and he says this about, I've not ironed my uniform, and you get that sort of a little bit of anxiety just because, and that in a way breeds that within you to make sure that you're, as a soldier, look smart as you can all the time. But at the same time, the same in a different way, when you get a text from somebody and it says, come up to the office, I need to speak to you. And then in your head, you're like, what does that mean? Come up to the office, I need to speak to you. Uh-oh. If he says this to me, then I'm going to say that. And then the next thing you know, I'm going to be fighting him. I'm going to headbutt him. Like, hang on a minute. He probably just wants to have a brew with me. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got a couple of questions I want to throw out towards you. So obviously you said that you had suicidal thoughts and you'd attempted suicide. What, if you were going to give someone some guidance on suicide prevention, what would you suggest to the listeners?
So I believe it's different for everybody in the moment, and you can never really tell what someone's mind's going to be like in that moment. But the biggest thing that I have found and it's maybe helped actually being in the army, is taking that condor moment and breathing. Being like a second commander, taking a step back, assessing a situation, breathing. And I believe breathing is such a massive thing, is taking control of your mind and just bringing yourself back down to the ground again and being able to ground yourself.
Yeah, I saw one of your videos on your Instagram just grab the pen. You had the breathing technique using the pen, breathing in to the highs and then down. Yeah, that was really useful, actually. That's really interesting, because like you're saying, you're just concentrating on 5 breaths, but really you're taking control of your mind again. And I'm not an advocate for smoking at all. Like I disagree with people. I don't disagree with people that smoke, but the process of smoking and filling your body with tobacco is a bad thing to do. But at the same time, what you'll see is a lot of smokers are less stressed, and it's not because they're having a cigarette. It's because they're taking 5 minutes away from their desk, going outside most of the time, and for that period of time, concentrating on their breathing. Now, get rid of the cigarette, and the next time you feel stressed, dump the cigarette. Next time you feel stressed, just go outside for 5 minutes and breathe in some fresh air and concentrate on your breathing. And that could mean, right, I've analysed those sort of things that are stressing me out now. I'll go back into the office and carry on with whatever task it was I was in. But so there's a thing there I've noticed with smokers. I don't agree with smoking, but there is things that they do that we could all possibly use to improve our, our stress levels. And the other sort of stuff I wanted to, so physical fitness is obviously, if you're looking after your physical health, you're eating right, you're sleeping right, and all that sort of stuff, you're going to benefit your mental health as well.
Yeah.
So what sort of things did you put into your routine from when you were in a bad place to now?
So, like, I suppose, like with any job, you've got like periods of time in the army where, like, so with my sobriety challenge kind of thing, I kind of started off doing like 5K a day for 5 days a week, and then I changed it to just doing 25K, which is the same, but maybe doing a 10K or whatever, or just with work, because I was finding work was just sometimes getting in the way, or I might not be in the right mindset to go on a run. I've been pretty busy the last couple of weeks. There's not, it's me making excuses really. I could have found the time to do it, but I just wasn't in the right headspace. But definitely getting out, and even if it's just a walk, like a light walk, it doesn't have to be up the hills or whatever, leave your phone inside your room or whatever, or wherever you are in your car, and just go out for a walk for half an hour, 45 minutes. Because like I'm holding my phone now, but technology is a massive, massive input to our mental health as well. And I believe in just getting the right amount of time away from like devices is good. So yeah, no, like, so your physical fitness is, and as I said, even just getting out a walk, it doesn't have to be a massive workout or whatever, and you don't need to feel pressured by all these, what I say, the gym enthusiasts.
Gym queens.
Yeah, I was trying to be PC there.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
But like the gym enthusiasts, where I've just got a belief that you just do what you want to do to be happy. You don't have to be like anybody else. So just get out. If you like going out for a walk, go out for a walk.
Yeah.
If you like absolutely hammering yourself from the weights.
Do you do anything creative? I know you've got your content and your blogs, so that is creative, writing your blogs and putting words down in a way that reflects and it communicates well to other people. Do you do anything else sort of creative, art, poetry, anything?
So I've been told by a couple of people that like I can throw words together and they seem to like, well, I suppose that's kind of like the blog really, but I mean like in a sort of, not poetry, but I can just come up with things like out the blue, just like that. And like, it really hits home to people. I've not really done that in a while. It's the first time I've ever admitted that. But I've got my bagpipe in as well, and like writing new tunes and coming up with stuff like that.
So I've spoken to a Scottish lad, and he said that bagpiping to him is really therapeutic. Like, I don't know why, but maybe it's the breathing pattern and the noise. Maybe it's settling for him. But yeah, he finds bagpiping quite therapeutic.
Depends on what he's listening to. Depends if it's music or noise.
Yeah. No, he's quite good. He's doing a challenge. He's one of your guys actually from the Royal Scots. He's doing a challenge to do 2 songs a day for 365 days, so a year. And every day he does 2 songs and he puts it out on his YouTube. Alistair Beaton, I think his name is. Yeah, he's I'll send you his link. He's a good bloke. Yeah. I was
just gonna say, so when you're saying about sleeping patterns and stuff, so I'm one of those. As soon as I hit the bed, I'll be knackered all day. As soon as I hit the bed, I'm wide awake. I'm like, I'll start thinking about why is Pingu's dad always ironing clothes when none of them wear clothes, and stuff like that. And then it just goes on for a snowball effect. And I'm up until like 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm up at like 6:30, 7. But I just function. Like my body just functions, my mind functions. But ever since I've stopped drinking, and I also go to sleep listening to a YouTube, a guy that's got a YouTube channel called Jason Stevenson. He does like a sleep meditation kind of thing for about 3 hour long videos. I can never make it past 20 minutes and I'm gone. I'm out. So it works.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And he sits there for like 3 hours giving you affirmations throughout, and like in your subconscious mind and stuff like that. And I'm totally into that. But I wake up and I'm just so energized with no drinking. doing more fitness than what I used to do, and just everything. So I was the old school kind of, nah, that doesn't exist. But nah, honestly, I've changed my life, changed my mindset around to believe in all this, and honestly, it's made me so much better.
So I remember when I was younger that an older chap said to me, he said to me, when I was younger, I didn't think that depression was a thing. And I remember him saying that, and in my younger head thinking, what are you on about? Depression's not a thing, and then as I've gotten older, it's like I'm saying to younger lads now, I didn't think depression was a thing when I was a young lad, and now I know it is. And it's kind of like, how do we stop that insanity? It's like insanity, repeating the same mistake over and over again. I suppose we're trying to do it through communicating now, and it's just hopefully some younger, people, male or females, pick up on it and start, thinking about their mental health, just like we'd think about our physical health, and we'd go to the gym, go for a run, and look after our physical health. We should always be thinking about our mental health, because the brain that we have in our heads is the same brain that we had from when we were a baby, through the stuff we went through as a child, through the stuff we went through as a teenager. It's all just been saved and logged in there. And, as an older person, you're dealing with more stresses because you've seen more, done more. But at the same time, you've gained more experience. So it's trying to, tackle it, I guess, tackle these things that are happening in our minds and putting ourselves in the best mind state that we can. Aye.
Yeah, definitely. Aye, see, Scottish is rubbing off on you. Yeah, no, definitely. And I was just I had something come into my head there.
I think it over. There was a question that I was going to pose to you, and I gave you a pre-warning about this one because it's thrown most of my guests off. And it was the question of, what's the most courageous thing that you've ever seen or heard of?
So I was thinking about this, and I suppose on a personal level, probably it's kind of like when people ask me what's your favorite bagpipe tune, I'm like, well, there's different types of bagpipe tunes, so I don't have one favorite for different genres. So with this, and that's how I'm approaching this. For me personally, it would probably be my mother, through all that she's been through, and still at the end of the day always been there for me and my siblings, and actually seeing that happen in front of me for years. That's probably the most courageous thing I've seen on a personal level.
Yeah, that's mega. That's mega for you to say that, because a lot of lads wouldn't say that. They wouldn't think about their mum. They would want to be tough guy and put on their shield. But for you to wear your heart on your sleeve like that and say that, your mum is the bravest person you know is really admirable. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And
saying that, so I've got a younger sister who we are polar opposites completely. You imagine Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and I am Donald Trump. But as much as we have our differences, I would say she's courageous in what she's doing as well. And that rubs off on my mum.
It's good. It must be good, and it must be very empowering for your mum to see you and your sister doing well in the avenues that you're going down.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So this is the thing. I've asked quite a lot of people now that, I think you're my fourth person that I've interviewed for the podcast, and every person I've asked, at no point has anybody said, a firefight they've been in, some sort of heroic act that they've seen or heard about. Everyone has suggested, people coming through hardships. And what that says to me is, if the bravest thing that the majority of people are saying is about people coming through hardships, is that we as a society need to understand that everyone is going through stuff, there's stuff going on, and to respect everyone as much as we can, and not just respect the people that look like heroes and act like heroes or gob off like heroes, but the ones that are silent, and you might not know that they're going through something, but they most probably are. Everyone's got things going on. So
I believe as that's in my head. So we're trained to be in firefights. We're not trained to deal with our brains.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
what I think that is. So, you know, like we're trained to do that. So I think hardships is it's really brave to go through. Sorry.
So no, you're bang on right. So I always think about this when I was, you know, a section commander, platoon sergeant, I'd brief my men and I'd say to them, we'd go through prep for battle, you know, pauper zone. But I do always say there's a letter missing out here, and it's mental preparation, preparing your mind for what the action you're about to take. And maybe that's something that's missing out that could be penciled into the doctrine. I don't know, but yeah, we never really talk or discuss preparing our mind, and it's only if something really tragic happens that we then get talk to like trim training to deal with that. And it's only really if somebody shows signs or symptoms, whereas in the profession that we're in, everyone's, you know, most people don't wear their heart on their sleeve. They bottle things up and they go downtown, drink too much and start throwing their fists around, which is, you know, just one of the things that young people do. But if we can sort of break down those barriers, that would be fantastic as well, and get people to talk about how to be a better you. Yeah, I'm waffling again. But
yeah,
I think
see, that's probably not my superpower, if you like, but I listen. Like I go silent completely, and I'm just in awe when I speak to people. Nowadays, whereas before I'd be like, yeah, I maybe I've jumped in just because it's just because when my brain was there, but like I simply listen to people and I just let them speak. And like what you were saying there about the, you know, the older guy saying to you about that, and then that you trickling down, it's a populational generation game.
Yeah,
that's what I believe that when it's just, it's a cycle will it ever be broken? Well,
there's something I've said before was that when we look at our grandparents, that may have survived through World War II, you know, and their parents may have survived through World War I and so on. And we look at our grandparents who don't talk about it. They don't discuss it. So then the next generation has that same thing of like, oh, they've been through something far worse than what I've been through. And what I'm going to do is what they did and not talk about it, bottle it up, not talk about it. And the reason they're probably bottling it up and not talking about it is because they're scared. They're not scared of the situation. They were scared of the emotions that they will have talking about it. So the bravery comes from the generation that decides, right, enough is enough. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say how I think, how I feel, and wear my heart on my sleeve, because my grandparents didn't, and they went through a life maybe, you know, having their own coping mechanisms. Whereas if I nip it in the bud now and I discuss it and I talk about it, nip it in the bud, I can go on, live my life merrily and happily. So yeah, I suppose it's just different ways of dealing with things. But I like the way that we are discussing this now, so that we can benefit other people.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about where can we find your work? I know we've talked about the Instagram. Is that the best place?
Yeah. So the Instagram, I find social media weird. Facebook's just, it doesn't really work the same as Instagram. When it comes to the audience that I'm trying to target. So 100% it's the same on Facebook, but in fact, it's not, because I can't change the name on it. But it's just Instagram's the best place to get my content and have a dwell into what my mind thinks of.
Yeah, so it's at Highland_mental_health_blog. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Happy days. You've been great to talk to, and it's been really fantastic to hear, you know, another infanteer speak openly about their thoughts and feelings. And I'm hoping that when people listen to this podcast back, they, you know, if it reaches 2 or 3 people and they decide, actually, I want to talk about how I feel, then that's fantastic. That's what we're here to do.
Yep.
So
and
thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well.
Aye.
See, Iron Brew.
I love an iron brew, actually, to be fair. So yeah, I'm not going to stop recording. I'm just going to carry on. Let's stop the interview style questions. But if there's anything else you want to discuss, then go crack on. The floor is yours.
Sort of really, put me on the spot now. No, just as you're saying, I believe that the sort of generational change that's happening at the moment is going to make for a better future, I believe. And it's people like you and I just communicating and talking, as you're saying.
That's the thing is when I go onto social media now, there are so many people talking about it that it should no longer be a stigma. There shouldn't be a stigma around it, because a stigma would suggest that I hate the word stigma, because a stigma suggests that there's something wrong. There's something wrong about talking about it. So if we just deleted the word stigma, and we deleted, when somebody thinks about the words mental health, they might think, oh, mental health is depression, anxiety, blah, 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 when really mental health is the same as physical health. If if you said the word physical health, it doesn't mean you start thinking about people that are overweight. When you say physical health, you think about people that go out running, they go to the gym. When we say the words mental health, we should think about people that maybe meditate and concentrate on their mental well-being. And we need to add the word ill, so mental ill health, so that we can sort of properly define what it is that we're talking about, and ditch the word stigma, ditch any sort of like thoughts or feelings that it's not something you can talk about, and just go for it. Just discuss it.
And there's like when people mention mental health, it's instantly, if you're not experienced ill mental health at the time, then it's instantly, oh, it's negative, but it's not. It doesn't need to be negative. Just talking about it is such a positive thing. It's unreal. Looking at mental health and thinking, oh, no, like being scared to talk. No, just talk about it.
It's like you're saying, I think we're in that generation where talking about it more is becoming a thing. But maybe 4 or 5 years ago, if you had a sort of mental ill health period of your life, it would have been less easy. It would have been less easy to talk about it. People would have probably been, like you say, a bit more shut down, and they're like, no, this isn't a thing, whatever. But it's so good that we're now moving towards that, and onwards and upwards, hopefully,
Yeah, definitely. And
have you found lockdown? Sorry. Have you found lockdown with it?
As I was saying, lockdown, I really found positive for me. I as cheesy as it might sound, I kind of really found myself in my brain, and in my head and my mind and my outer sort of thoughts and stuff. It really helped me, because I was able to have all the doctors and all that I spoke to, and then lockdown happened. I was on my own, so I was able to process that with no distractions, and process it how I wanted to process it, and come from that and be who I'm wanting to be, and not being the person that other people want me to be, and just accepting that. And I preach about it all the time, but just accepting anything, accepting that you need the toilet, accepting that you've maybe made a spelling mistake, accepting that somebody doesn't like you, and just put it into the box, close the lid on the box, and put the box on the shelf. You know it's there, it's in the back of your mind, you know it's there, but you just move on to a different bit, and you move on to something else. Yeah,
it's like a filing cabinet. You got to keep your thoughts and feelings in order. Exactly. Otherwise they'll just overflow into each other. Yeah,
that's exactly right, and that's what I do.
Right. That's a really good way of looking at it. That's I'm going to take that one. I'm going to steal that and start doing it. Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
No worries.
I'm going to let you go, because obviously you've just come back from your trip up north, and I'm sure you've got a lot of admin to do. But thank you very much for coming and speaking to me, Hugh. You've been great. I really appreciate it.
You too, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and you. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon, mate. I'll give you a message after this.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers, pal.
The opinions or views expressed on this podcast are solely of my own or the guests, and do not represent the opinions or views of anybody else or the Ministry of Defence.
Shish kebab, Shawshank Redemption, Chicago! You're out of there!